I have a true story to tell. I am not an atheist, nor am I a religious person. I just figure even if that sort of thing exists, it does whether I believe in it or not, and it's most likely beyond our current evolutionary capacity to comprehend. That being said, I have experienced many strange things in my life. Enough to know there is more going on than just our physical reality. The story I'm about to share with you is 100% true and happened about 10 years ago if memory serves. I was in my late 20s. It is by far the most terrifying thing I have ever personally experienced. Here it goes, it's a long read. I once invited a couple of religious Protestant friends of mine to my cabin by the lake in PA. We had a small fire going in the back of my house near the woods and we were telling ghost stories. I have so many personal ghost stories. My friend apparently felt comfortable enough to tell me they could see angels and demons. She even said there was an angel on my roof and demons in the woods behind us. Naturally, I was very skeptical. In fact, I thought she was a little crazy, lol. But when I said I've heard more things than I've seen, she asked if I would like to see them. I said yes, thinking nothing of it. After all, what's she going to do? Prove it? She started playing a religious hymn on her phone and her boyfriend started praying and speaking in tongues. Keep in mind it's nighttime, in the woods. All of a sudden, while the song hit the chorus, "Holy, holy, holy," the earth itself beneath my feet and in the forest behind me shook like thunder or an earthquake, and I could hear it rumble. It was most definitely neither. It was a beautiful night. Wide-eyed, I asked what that was and she very matter-of-factly told me, "You know what that was?" This occurred a total of 3 times, each time as the chorus hit, "Holy, holy, holy." She proceeded to tell me, "They now know, that I know they are there and they will reveal themselves to me in their own time." Cut to about 2 months later and I'm camping in an upstate New York state forest. I was with one friend. I told him that same story at about 1 a.m. in a very dark pine forest. About 15 minutes later, while I was preparing an MRE, the entire forest went eerily silent, a deafening silence. You know when it's so quiet your ears are ringing? When my friend says, "What the hell is that?" I look up and I see a silent glowing red light descend from above the trees and it settles into the woods about 30 to 40 yards away from our camp and disappears. As we crept around the small fire to see if we could get a glimpse of whatever just descended upon us, 2 large glowing red eyes peered out from behind a tree. When I say glowing, I mean they were emanating a deep red light, not reflecting light. The entire eye was red, no retina/cornea, etc. It did not blink either. And when I say large, I mean inches wide. Whatever it was watching us. These eyes watched us for about 5 minutes, we watched back. I shone a flashlight to see if I could get a good look at it, no body that I could see, but the eyes remained. It would then slowly creep back behind the tree and disappear as the normal sounds of the forest returned. Lastly, I told another friend this entire story years later and we tried to replicate the experience at my lake house, including the song. Nothing happened while we were there. But upon driving home to New Jersey, at night on a country road, we decided to turn on the radio. Guess the first thing we heard when we turned it on? Literally the first thing. Holy, holy, holy. To this day I regard that experience as a religious experience, and had done some research as to what it might be. First thought, barred owl. I had seen 2 in the woods during daylight flying through the trees on the way to the campsite. I determined that the eyes being so large, and the brightness of the red glow, and the somewhat slight teardrop shape of the eyes, and the peering out and slinking back, meant it wasn't an owl. Even when we put the fire out, and turned the lights out, the eyes still glowed very bright, not your normal eye shine. Then I looked into the strange stuff. Bigfoot reports where people had seen glowing red eyes, but I saw no body. Mothman, a likely candidate. The Jersey Devil, possibly. But I remembered my friend said they would reveal themselves in their own time, and I had just told the story before this happened. I believe what we saw was a dark entity of some sort, a demon if you will. Take it or leave it, but everything I just wrote happened to me and my best friend. He still asks me to tell the story at parties when we are drinking with friends lol. We do plan on going back to that exact spot in the future, better prepared. Anyone here ever experience anything similar? Please comment and tell me what you think I saw. Or share your story. Has anyone ever been lost in a place where they're familiar? My friend and I tried to meet up at a cemetery to visit a friend. It was late at night. I have visited the cemetery for over 12 years. Every holiday, birthday, etc. I was meeting a friend there to visit at night, and we got lost. I pulled into the north entrance of the cemetery and parked. As I waited for my friend, I got an eerie feeling, and pulled out of the cemetery, through the south entrance, and drove a bit down the road. I was on the phone with her the entire time. She drove north towards the cemetery, I was driving south, away from it. She got to the cemetery, passing me, and still didn't see me. I asked her to park and drove back to the cemetery. Both of us had our brights on, and I saw no one there. She said she was parked in the cemetery and didn't see me. We continued to drive up and down the road, opposite each other, and never found each other. We then decided to meet at the church, off the highway. We were on a back road. I pull up to the church, and so does she. We finally found each other. Is there any explanation? Last night I was in that state between being awake and asleep. I heard a voice whisper sausage biscuit. I thought that's weird and drifted back off. It wasn't a few minutes later that it sounded like someone blew a raspberry by my face and I started screaming in my sleep. My husband, who was awake in bed next to me, started shaking me to wake up. I sleepily told him what happened. When I woke up I realized the hilarity of it. It was so random. I was talking to my husband at dinner asking him if I scared him last night and he is freaked out about it. Apparently 30 minutes prior to this incident he put a sausage biscuit in the fridge. I was asleep and had no way of knowing that. I also started giggling at something a few minutes before I started screaming. This wasn't my first night terror but the first he's witnessed. I don't have them very often. What is your opinion? Have you had something similar happen? So one night after dinner I took my dog for a walk. It was 11:30 p.m. There is a riverside nearby, so I went there, but when I reached there I felt someone was watching me. It was wired cause I come here at this hour very often and I've never seen anyone before. At first I did not pay any attention to it, but after a while it felt a bit wired. Since I was alone there with my dog I decided to go back home. On the way back home I saw a crooked man standing around 7 to 8 feet tall, which was again very wired. I was quite dark, so I just crossed him and went home. Now from my room's window we can clearly see the front door of my house. The moonlight falls directly into my room. So I was about to sleep when I looked out the window and I saw that man, smiling. He's standing right under the street light, but he was still black. It felt like I was watching darkness in person. After seeing that I was not able to sleep. But I didn't get out of bed until the sunlight entered my room. I thought I was hallucinating, so I ignored it. After some days I suddenly wake up. It was 3:45 a.m. I woke up but was not able to move, and then I saw him standing in the corner of my room. He was laughing. His hair is curly and long, it covers his eyes. He is totally black as if he is the darkness. I could already hear his laugh and it was hurting my ears, but at that moment I took the worst decision. I tried to look into his eyes. I was not able to, but it felt like it is his weakness, cause after a minute or two he left when I started searching for his eyes. After that night some of my closed ones have also seen him. I don't know what is it. I've searched all over the internet but I can't find anything about him, so I'm here. If someone have ever seen or know something like this, please tell me what it is. This may not be exceptionally scary to adults, but to 5th grade me, years ago, this encounter was terrifying. If the tag is wrong, I apologize. I'll include some background for context because that's usually my favorite part of stories. Anyways, my hometown grew in population steadily since its founding in 1889. It's a city wedged between a college town and the state capital, with a major interstate cutting through, so naturally the city has grown busy. With cheap living, beautiful parks, great schools, it's an ideal place to settle down and have children or enjoy a quiet life if that's what you desire. The high school was overgrown before I was born in 99, so they built an even bigger high school in 68, followed by 2 more high schools on the west and south sides of town in 88 and 08. The old high school still stands and people or businesses can rent out the classrooms. I've seen restaurants, office spaces, and studios come and go there. One business was an artist who held her studio and classes out of several of the rooms. After exhibiting interest in art, I told my mom I wanted to take some classes and she enrolled me at a studio there. I'd never been to the building before, it was old but I liked it. My art teacher delighted me. I took some private classes there in 5th grade. I enjoyed my teacher a lot and we had great conversations. I was one of her older students and we often chatted about life and outside interests while we both worked. I'll call my art teacher Mindy to protect identities. I trusted Mindy. We would talk about anything and everything. I must have asked if she believed in the paranormal, a childhood interest of mine, because it wasn't long after she told me the school housed spirit visitors. We spoke of that frequently. One day, I noticed a to-do list she had posted to one of the walls. I was Snoopy and read it. One of the lines said clean out black hole. I asked her what the black hole was and she said it was a room down the hall that was used for storage. I asked if we could go see it because I thought it was super funny that they called it the black hole. She agreed and took me down the hall. The school was old and creaky but never unfriendly. This room was different though. It was pitch dark. She said they had no idea why there wasn't electricity in that room and that no matter what they tried, they couldn't get the lights on. Just in that room though. Like any storage room, it was cluttered. Thrown about were desks, chairs, bookshelves, even old sinks and toilets were shoved inside. There was no light from the outside or from any bulbs in the room. Some of the windows were painted black. On other windows, the glass was broken out and was replaced with wooden boards. The room was freaky. Mindy told me a bit about the room. She told me the black hole housed a spirit of an older gentleman, one who wasn't necessarily a happy guy. She spoke to him and told him to leave us alone, and we'd be out of there soon. In some words, the vibe was off in that room. Like I said before, the paranormal was a point of interest in my childhood for a long time. Fast forward to one of my last classes there. I'm painting in illustrations on a wall Mindy had sketched out already. Mindy left me on my own that night. She was in a meeting about the space in the room right next to where I was, and she wasn't far. She told me to grab her if I needed her. I wasn't necessarily planning on needing her. So I'm painting. Not really thinking about much, just making sure my colors don't blend together. It was coming along nicely. I was painting and deep in my own thoughts. I see something down the hall in the corner of my eye. Looked like a man, but it was gray and fuzzy. Almost like TV static in human form. I looked. Nothing there. What scared me though was that he was standing in front of the black hole. I knew instantly who it was and my first thought was he is mean. I got chills, but it was okay. I tried to ignore it, and went back to my work. I was used to seeing things out of the corner of my eye, anyways. Could have been anything. Not even 5 minutes later it happens again. Exact same figure. I looked through my peripherals for a minute before I finally looked at it head on. Same figure. Gone again. It is not uncommon for me to see things in the corner of my eye, and when I look it's not there anymore. But it never happens twice. Never twice with the same being. I was terrified. I'd never encountered anything like this before, and it could have been a reflection, a shadow, anything, but I can't misinterpret how my body reacted. Sheer fear. Flight or fight activated. I went and told my teacher, and she seemed upset. Not at me, but just. I don't know. She told him to go away and stop bothering me. She knew what it was and what was bothering me. My body had chills, and the second time I saw it, I went completely cold. Like adrenaline and fear and everything mixed together was pumping through me. To this day, I know what I saw. I saw that man. I know I did. He may have been just watching. He probably was. I just don't know. Years later she moved her studio due to safety reasons. My mom told me that. I don't know if it was just an old building and dangerous in that way, or if it was more. Anyways, I'd love your take. Sorry if it's not that scary.
Mosey on down to the Atomic Shaman Trading Post. We have t-shirts, decals, refrigerator magnets and other swag for sale. What better way to show your support for the show? Our merch can only be found on t.pub/lit/Atomic Shaman Trading Post. Like, share and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring the notification bell. You can follow us on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Catch the live streams on Rumble. Listen to text-to-speech stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube.